All right. Well, here we are. It is Saturday, May 9th already, which is
Yeah.
crazy. I'm guessing you guys are going to do a whole thing about this tomorrow, but of course it's Mother's Day weekend.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in the middle of reading a private chat over here while I'm talking. I think I'll be doing 2, 3 things at once today, which is fine.
Multi-
Um, yeah.
multitasking.
Good thing I didn't have breakfast because that guy would have gotten my way. Or coffee. So what we're doing today is wrapping up Star Wars week.
Mm.
And Star Wars week was quite extensive for those people who love Star Wars. This is a very nerdy week. I did check in here and there. Of course, could see every show from one front to back, but saw some interesting stuff. I am a Star Wars fan in a way, but I'm not a crazy Star Wars fan. And I think I maybe saw Star Wars 3 times in my life, and I maybe saw The Empire Strikes Back twice. So,
Mm-hmm.
you know what I mean? While I think it's a nice thing, it's not necessarily something that I'm like, oh my god about. But anyway, so that's that. And there goes my yeah, there we go. So anyway, I am going to ask you how you're doing. Let's start with that.
I'm surviving. Surviving.
Okay.
Surviving. Surviving. Basically it. I'm surviving.
Nothing nothing new, nothing
No,
exciting.
no, no, no. Nothing
No?
exciting at all. No, no.
Wow. Okay.
I'm surviving.
Okay. Well, you know what? We all are surviving. I got to be honest. We all are surviving. We really are. Um,
Yep.
it's been a crazy 2026 so far for a lot of reasons. And so I understand what you're saying. And you got school is when is school out for you?
28 more days. Let's go. 28
Okay.
more days. Let's go. But
All
then
right.
I'm working. But then I'm working the summer, so it doesn't really. It
Okay.
doesn't
All
really.
right. So it doesn't really matter. Well, are you working over the summer with children?
Yes.
Okay, so that doesn't even matter.
Yeah,
So
it doesn't even, it doesn't even matter.
okay. According to Ron, Kenny's about to cry. And
I
can I
am.
just say
I
that
am.
that's no shame in that. There's no shame in crying.
There's no
You
crime in
know,
baseball.
and there's no crying. If you're me, there's no crying anywhere. But that's a personal thing. But I don't shame people that won't need to cry if that's what they got to do. I can stand. We could stand by for 30 seconds and you can cry and I can just let you do that and then we can move on. I don't know. Anyway, yeah, I don't know. I don't know anything about sports this year. I'm not following anything. But I guess the Sox are not doing well. That's what I'm hearing. I don't know. So let's start with
Uh,
Kenny's first story. Because you have something to tell us about idiots today.
yes, yes, yes. Now, I remember the first time we did a show, and you said nothing surprises you, right?
I
Nothing
didn't say that.
surprises you.
I said a lot of things don't surprise me, and I don't like surprises. Maybe,
Yeah.
but yeah,
Okay. Yeah.
there are some.
Yeah. A lot of things don't.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yes. Go ahead.
And on Sundays, I have this thing called we do a segment called Make Ron Say What. You know.
Mm-hmm.
So this is kind of a
Okay.
Make Ron Say What, but okay. All right. So
All right.
how
You
do you
might
feel
say
about
make
Eric
me say
Clapton?
what?
Yeah, yeah,
How do I
yeah,
feel about Eric
yeah.
Clapton?
How do you
He's
feel about Eric
okay.
Clapton? He's a legend. He's okay. He's all right.
I
He would
mean,
he would
I
he would
know
be
all
a rock
about
and
all
roll
of
legend.
his. He's a rock and roll legend, but he's had a very checkered past.
Mm-hmm.
Followed by
Mm-hmm.
a very terrible loss of his 5-year-old son,
Yes, yes,
and
yes.
he makes a lot of good music. But what do you know about Eric Clapton that I don't?
Oh well, apparently Eric Clapton brought his Madrid concert to a abrupt end after being hit in the chest with an object.
Oh, okay.
The
What was the
the,
object?
the 81 rock blues legend, yes, I said legend, was hit in the chest with a vinyl record.
Oh wow.
Okay? All right.
Uh, Now, do we know? You're
Just
probably your story is probably going to be completely different because I have a curiosity. So my next question is, who threw it? What album was
oh,
it?
oh,
Why were they being thrown? Was there something he did that
oh,
upset somebody?
oh, good question. The legend took
Hmm.
to European tour at the famous movie star arena last night. After being
Hmm.
pelted by a vinyl record, he left the stage before his encore.
Hmm.
Yep.
Okay.
One fan said, "What a shameless jerk! He ruined the final party for all of us." He said he made the Spaniards look like savages.
Okay. Now, did he? I'm trying to figure it out. Did he just say the record getting thrown at me was it? I'm all set, or was he
Yeah,
just not going to do an encore anyway?
he came out to do an encore. They threw the
Oh,
record
that's
at
what
him
happened.
right in the chest,
Ah.
and he walked off. Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah. Mhm.
Well, I mean, in
Meanwhile,
his defense, you should
hold on.
not mess with vinyl like that. That's absolutely offensive.
Thank you. Meanwhile, the fan that threw it said the intent was not to harm Eric.
Okay.
The intent was to have him read
Sign it.
the
Oh,
loving no to read the love and affection note on the record.
okay. I don't even understand what that means.
So you throw it at him. So there's a note on the record, and you
Yeah.
throw it at him. It hits him in the chest.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So
Huh.
I can't help it, but if you've ever seen Shaun of the Dead, that's the only thing that comes to mind is like frisbee albums being thrown at zombies. But that's another thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
don't. I. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
I so many weird things are happening. There's so many weird things that I did not have on my bingo card this year, and one of them was not this. And I'm trying to figure out whether, like, I thought Eric Clapton was a little bit sensitive to that, but I still don't know why a fan would throw an album or vinyl of any kind at any point, anywhere.
Anywhere.
Have we learned nothing from Steve Dahl in Chicago? Have we learned nothing from, the 1980 steamroll of Steve Dahl? Like, you don't do that to albums, you just don't. So,
You want
right,
the
put
man
it on a
to sign it.
Frisbee. Yeah, like, just hand it to him. I don't even
Just,
understand,
just hand it to him, right? Just hey, could you pass that up there to him, please? Thank you.
like, it's just a note.
Oh yeah.
It's not like it's a piece of paper. It's probably not gonna be a security issue. So I don't know. I mean, I think I can kind of relate to him just being like, "You know what? I don't need this. Ain't nobody got time for this."
Right? Ain't nobody got
I
time for
just
that. Mm,
I'm 81 years old, and I'm
right?
all set.
I'm
I
all
just wanna
set.
sit down and have a beer, and I just really all set with this.
Right?
Especially after a whole
And
show.
exactly
I
right.
don't know how long his main
Exactly.
show was, but Eric Clapton, I don't know if he still does, but he used to do some seriously long shows.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
so I don't know if he did like a 3-hour show or something that night, but I would be so exhausted and fed up if I was him
He
during an
probably did.
encore that I probably would have done the same thing.
It is.
And
It
that's
is.
all I got to say about that.
All right. It is on
Yeah.
YouTube, so in your spare time, please do look it up.
Yeah. That's crazy. Of course I'm going to. Because that's just like um I know in different parts of the world people do um they show their admiration and affection in different ways.
Mm.
Okay, as far as like celebrities go or whatever. So I don't know. Maybe I mean in the US they're getting stuff thrown at them. So like, you
Mm-hmm.
know, water bottles and all kinds of crazy stuff like that and
Mm.
cell phones and whatever. So I don't know. But that's crazy. What else you got, Kenny?
That's it. I just thought that was funny. There's a
Yeah,
love
that is
note
funny.
and an affection on the record, So you throw it at the man. What kind of
I
this?
want to know. I need to know what album that was. It must have been one of his. That would have even been
Yeah,
worse.
that's right, yeah, right,
That
right.
would have been worse. It would have been worse if it was, well, I don't know. Fans that are male or female, both of them can love him and want him to know that they
Yeah,
appreciate him.
yeah,
So I don't know if it was a male or female, and I don't know if that matters, but I do know
yeah.
that if it was an album from his collection, I would have really been like, okay, I'm all set with that. So I don't know. That's interesting. Last night, huh? Wow.
Yep.
Well, you're listening to this wonderful story about Eric Clapton today. I'm going on daily. You are watching us live. Kick, YouTube, and Rumble are showing us live right now. Otherwise, I do have a Facebook page and I'm streaming there, so you may be seeing me there as well. But right now, here's where to watch us and to write it down. Make sure you have it at Rhode Island Broadcasting. This is going to be under us here. So you can watch us live there, and you can watch us on Twitch at RI_broadcasting, and you can watch us on Twitter. I was on X Twitter. I was on there this morning looking up some serious, silly eBay stuff. Oh my god. Anyway, at Broadcasting RI. That's where you want to catch us there, and then you would listen to us. If you can't watch us, you're out running around, you don't want to look at us. I guess that's fair. You would want to do that at Spotify, Red Circle, LinkedIn, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music at RI Broadcasting. And then we've got all of our social media platforms. And hopefully I don't know. I got to check the website, by the way. I'm going to get into that in a minute because I'm trying to find out where on the website those are. But MeWe, TikTok, LinkedIn, Blue Sky, Gab, Parler, Space,
Hey,
and Patreon at RI Broadcasting. That's where to find us on any of those platforms. And if you follow us on Facebook, or if you could follow us on Facebook, we'd appreciate it. The Going On Daily Morning Show, just search for that in the Facebook search bar on the top of the page and just type in Going On Daily Morning Show. That'll bring you to our page. Like it, subscribe to it, follow it, do all of that, and then share it. Make sure everybody you know can see it. Tell them, hey, look, get on this. And then you can also support the show by going to Rhode which I did. And I'm going to go back and, like I said, maybe it's just me, but I don't think I could find that social media page that lists everything. So I'm not sure where that is, but I wasn't able to find it not long ago. If you do go to RhodeIslandBroadcasting.net, though, the one thing you will see is the place where you can vote. So the last month was our 70s rock band votes. And these are the ones you had to choose from: Queen, Led Zeppelin, Fleetwood Mac, Rolling Stones. Yeah, Ron, get on that. You know what I'm saying? Pink Floyd. So it looks like Queen was ahead for the most of the time. And all of them got a vote, which is nice. Because there was a point in time where I think Pink Floyd didn't have anything. But Queen did lead with 56%. So they're the ones that won last month. And in this month, if you're voting, you should be voting for a bunch of movies that, like, how can you pick one? I don't even understand. Do you know what I'm saying? I don't understand how you could pick one of these movies. How could you say one of these is your favorite? There's no way. I don't know. This is the QR code here. And if you want to vote for the in the Hall of Fame for one of these movies, you want to see one of these movies come out ahead, then you go there and you place your vote, which Kenny's doing right now. So join Kenny and get on that vote and get your movie out front. I don't know if we have any movies so far because it's so early. I'm not sure if any of them are ahead at this point. But if there are, Ron will tell me. But yeah, so I don't know. I'm not sure which is your favorite, Kenny. Which one you think you would pick? It's tough. All right, so Back to the Future I had. I gotta say,
this is bogus. I want to recount already.
You want to recount?
67% already. Back to the Future.
It's
This
rigged. Okay.
this is rigged. This is bogus.
But this is all
Okay.
Gen X for me. I think the only thing that I've seen all of these movies. I probably watched Platoon probably the least out of all of them. I mean, I just in February I just went to watch like the director's cut of The Shining in Boston in like
Mhm.
IMAX. You know, like that's one of my favorite movies that I've seen a million times. And then there's all of the theories about The Shining and, you know, artistic value of The Shining. Back to the Future, though, is just one heck of a well put together. It's just one of the best movies. It's just done really well.
Mhm.
So I can see why it's out front, but all these movies are like amazing. And Weird Science. I mean, how can you not like Weird Science? How can you not love
Thank
Weird
you.
Science?
Thank
I
you.
mean,
Thank you. Thank you. Right. Thank you. Mhm.
I don't know. One of the kids from Weird Science, I think, is a professor and got his degree. And um, yeah, one of the kids. I can't remember. I
Mhm.
can never remember the brunette kid's name. But anyway, he's left the business and went and like became a professor and has all these degrees and he's like a wicked smart kid and I think that's great. Uh,
Mhm.
okay, yeah, 100. Yeah, so if you put all the math together, it doesn't math. It doesn't math. So what? Who's the API behind that? That's doing the math for this. Let's
Mhm.
talk to them because they're doing their math wrong. They're
Mhm.
doing their math wrong, right?
Yep.
And then I have a story today that's going to involve Raiders of the Lost Ark, and that is one of the best movies ever.
True. True.
I mean, it is one of the best. Actually, the whole franchise is really good.
Yes.
Um, but I can't say that Raiders of the Lost Ark isn't really good either. So I don't know. It's gonna be a tough vote for everybody. You know, do what you can with it. I, I guess vote for the ones you like. You can vote for more than one. So maybe that's just the way it's gonna have to be. That you go and vote for the ones you like.
Ah, he
If
refreshed it.
it's all five, then it's all five. I mean, I don't know, but it's tough. It's tough.
Mhm.
So anyway, yeah, and then so going from here, I guess Ron's gonna have to retally all of the percentages to find out what on green blazes or whatever is going on with that math. What on God's green earth or what on blue blazes is happening?
Oh,
Right, because if you get a
that's funny. Yeah.
calculator and
Right.
put all of that together, you're not gonna get 100%. That's weird. So anyway, I don't know. I
Yeah.
don't know. Could
Yeah.
be a skewed thing. Who knows? But anyway.
Yeah.
Also, we want you to on the page. What I do know is that there is the information about Uganda. That's definitely there. There's a whole
Mhm.
page dedicated to Uganda and donating to that, and then also um, there's a link to Becky's actual story time where she explains that she went to Uganda, what she did, how long she was there, and what was going on. And basically, at the bottom line is that we're looking to raise some money for Uganda because we have a guy on staff here that's going to go put a roof on top of a school, or at least that's the plan. To go make sure that the kids have shade because if they're in that school and they're trying to learn in Uganda, which is a ridiculously hot climate, they can't learn. They're going to get sick. And you know, such a important thing for kids' education. Also, money from us, very little money. Takes you like maybe one coffee, and the conversion to Uganda money is ridiculous. It's like it's worth so much for them, and it's so easy for us to, you know, pick $2, $3, $4 out of our week and send it. They'll take at this point any amount. So $1, $3, $5, just one day. You know, make your coffee at home. You know, everybody that knows me knows that I have a really a pet peeve about people who I gotta go get my coffee. I gotta go get my coffee. Gotta go get my
Mhm.
coffee. Okay. But the days that you know, there's days you don't want to leave the house and get coffee. It's just like buy a coffee pot, make some coffee,
Mhm.
then you can drink your coffee before you leave the house, so that you don't have to complain to the rest of us about how you don't want to go out and get coffee today.
Mhm.
So take that. The money that you save when you do that is ridiculous. You know, it may cost you $2 or $3 or $4 for a coffee. if you drive to a place. But at the end of the day, that's money that you save, even though you put out for a coffee pot, $40, $50, whatever it is, and you buy, a big thing of coffee to make at home. Eventually, you start saving that money. That really does pay for itself. And who knows? You could put money towards something like Uganda, something that actually matters with the kids that need
Hmm.
to learn and cannot do it in that environment. So, there's my rant for today. How do you feel about that? There's my rant for today. I'm sure somebody's chatting and I'm not looking at it. Let's see who's talking here. Oh yeah, okay. All of the stuff. I don't want to miss anybody talking. So yeah, that's what we want you to do. We need you to go. Let me read this off, by the way, so that we have it. It's Rhode Island Broadcasting.net/Uganda-donations. So that's
Hmm.
between me and Kenny's right here. But then also, you can just go to the website if Rhode and you'll see it right in the front page there. So, as I was saying, Star Wars is, like I said, it's one of the. I love the movies from when I grew up and how they were put together. And for me, the soundtrack for Star Wars was one of my favorite things. And there's a lot of movies. I was a very big John Williams fan because he's the one that was really behind all of that. Before Robert Stigwood, and I'm going to tell you a little story. It's a guy by the name of Robert Stigwood. Robert
Hmm.
Stigwood was the guy that ran RSO Records. And so he was the guy that came up with the idea that you would put a soundtrack together of different artists and then you would put them on the radio and then you would release the movie. And then before you released the movie, the fans would kind of, or whoever was listening, would already kind of know what was on the soundtrack because they had heard it on the radio. That's Robert Stigwood. Now, he started that in, I think, 1978. Because I think, or 70s, I can't remember, but he started it with, I think, Saturday Night Fever. And the soundtrack from Saturday Night Fever was a very big deal. But at the time, Robert Stigwood proposed this to, I think, Paramount or 20th Century. I can't remember who the movie house was at the moment because they bought each other out and everything else. But at that time, they were like, "Are you crazy?" And he's like, "Yeah, I put this artist and whatever." A couple of artists did the same song. He had Tavares and BG doing the same song, that kind of thing. But he wanted to put it out in. He's like, I want the profits from the album. And they're like, the movie house said, sure, you can have the profits. Nobody's going to want to hear that. Nobody cares about that. Well, it changed
Hmm.
everything. But he was the first one to do that. Previous to that, the soundtrack was really like score music, you know? And so Star Wars was like a score type of movie, and so was, I would say, The Omen. Jerry Goldsmith's one of the other big soundtrack guys from back then. But John Williams did a lot of movies, and mostly it was just scenes from movies that you would like. So you had Princess Leia's theme, and you had the Cantina Band scene, and you had things like that. And so you would listen to the soundtrack, and it would remind you of the movie. It was a completely different time, I think. And they still
Hmm.
do it. It's just not like they don't do it, I think, as much as they used to. It was a completely
Yeah.
different thing back then.
Hmm.
And so one of my favorite people was just John Williams, not just for this particular soundtrack, but for how many he did, right? So I am going to tell you what all. Let's start with Star Wars. That was 1977, composed conducted by him, and he used the London Symphony Orchestra, which I don't know, I loved that. Love that.
Hmm.
When you're in a theater, you really need an orchestra. That to me was just such a great. I can't explain it, but you got to put your headphones in and listen. And the Star Wars fans, I'm sure they appreciate. But to me, that was the part of the movie that I loved, was that score. That was great. I mean, who can not listen to Star Wars theme and be like that's so iconic, it's ridiculous, right?
Hmm. True.
So the London Symphony Orchestra was behind all of that and recorded over 8 sessions at Anvil Studios, and that was in Denham, England. That was March 5th, to 12 at 16, 1977. And it was orchestrated by Williams, then Herbert Spencer, Alexander Courage, Angela Morley, Arthur Morton, and Albert Woodbury. These are the guys that just put this thing together. Arthur Morton and Albert Woodbury, Spencer orchestrated the scores for The Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. And they were recorded by engineer Eric Tomlinson and edited by Kenneth Wenberg. And the scoring sessions were produced by Star Wars director George Lucas and supervised by Lionel Newman. And that was head of 20th Century Fox's music department. Right. So, but his early work as a film composer includes, now he started in the 60s, which is crazy. He's been doing stuff since the 60s. I don't know. I just think it's crazy to look at his career. So by the time Star Wars came along, this was his thing. But he got so much for it, and an emotional feeling to the album or emotional feeling to the movie, which I thought was it was crucial, I think, for that kind of movie. So he did Nothing But Brave in 1965, or Nothing But the Brave. He did Valley of the Dolls. These are some of the movies you're going to recognize. Goodbye, Mr. Chips, Images, The Cowboys, The Long Goodbye, Towering Inferno. If you've ever seen Towering Inferno, and it's probably something you should go back and watch, it's like Titanic in the sense of it's a tragical movie about, it's actually not, I don't believe Towering Inferno actually happened, but it's based on something. But 1974, that was a really good movie, and he did the score for that, and it wouldn't be the movie it was if it wasn't for him with that score. Right. So, yeah, okay. We're not doing this door thing today. So he's collaborated with Steven Spielberg as well. And so here's what he did. The Sugarland Express. He composed music for for 5 of the feature films. He received Academy Awards for all of that, right? But he did Fiddler on the Roof. He did Jaws, Star Wars, of course, E.T., Extraterrestrial, Schindler's List, Close Encounters of the Third Kind, Indiana Jones, the whole franchise of Indiana Jones. So I mentioned that earlier. That is absolutely John Williams right there. So it's crazy. They're like theme songs that you would hum to yourself when you were a kid, especially Gen X kids. When we were outside playing and like we were, motioning through some scene of a movie that we saw and singing the music. That was all John Williams' creation, which is, I think, pretty cool. And so he also did Hook. He did Jurassic Park. And you can never forget the theme. He did Saving Private Ryan. And then up more recently, Catch Me If You Can, War Horse, Lincoln, The Fabelmans. If you haven't seen The Fabelmans, you should. That is a Steven Spielberg childhood movie, and it's crazy. But it's really good. He did Superman, of course.
Of course.
Of course, the theme is Superman. So think that people couldn't get was that's kind of crazy. He did Home Alone films, and he did Harry Potter films. He did the first 3 anyway. And then outside of that, he's also composed scores for films directed by William Wyler, Clint Eastwood, Alfred Hitchcock, Brian De Palma, John Badham, George Miller, Oliver Stone. These are some of the majors in Hollywood. Chris Columbus, Ron Howard, Barry Levinson, John Singleton, Alan Parker, Alfonso Cuarón, and Rob Marshall. These are kind of like people who, and he's also, he was principal for Boston Pop's conductor. This is another thing that I think is really cool. From 1980 to 1983, he conducted that orchestra. He conducted the Boston Pops. How cool is that?
That's
right?
Cool.
I'm bummed that I never got a chance to see him do that. But that's one heck of a thing to put on your resume, right? And he's also done stuff like, oh, sorry, go ahead.
He used to walk downtown. He used to walk downtown Boston all the time. We used to see him. Yeah. When I was a kid, I used to see him. I met him once.
Oh, yeah.
It was like,
I wasn't walking around Boston that much as a kid. But that would have been really cool to see him, So he also did the 1984 Summer Olympic Games, NBC Sunday Night Football, the mission theme used by NBC News and 7 News, PBS's great performances, and Lost in Space, Land of the Giants, amazing stories. This is all stuff he did. Like it's amazing, and it's almost like he's done everything, right? Pretty much. So he received the Kennedy Center Honor in 2004, the National Medal of Arts in 2009, AFI Life Achievement Award in 2016. This is a guy who's never going to go to his grave thinking he forgot to do something. That's all I'm going to say.
Right.
He was inducted into the Songwriters Hall of Fame in 1998, the Hollywood Bowls Hall of Fame in 2000, and the American Classical Music Hall of Fame in 2004. He has composed scores for 9 of the top 25 highest grossing films of the U.S. in box office. Think about that. Like, that's crazy. I mean, out of 25, 9. That's almost half. That's a little under half. In 2022, he was awarded an honorary knighthood by Queen Elizabeth II. Now, that's crazy.
That's crazy.
For services to film music. I mean, how many different movies would just not be what they are, if it wasn't for him? Yeah. Sunday Night Football. Yep, mentioned that earlier. And so, yeah, he did the score to. Hold on one second here. American Film Institute. They placed his score to Star Wars first on the AFI's 100 Years of Film Scores, because there's such a thing, and if you get a chance to go check that out, that's actually interesting. If you're interested in soundtracks and scores, that list 100 Years of Film Scores is pretty cool. His scores for Jaws and E.T. Extraterrestrial also made the list on there, and then the Library of Congress entered the Star Wars soundtrack into the National Recording Registry for being culturally, historically, or aesthetically significant. That's crazy. So all in all, he was nominated for 54 Academy Awards, winning 5, 6 Emmy Awards, winning 3, 26 Golden Globe Awards, winning 4, 76 Grammy Awards, winning 27, 16 British Academy Film Awards, winning 7, 23 Saturn Awards, winning 10. So this man is like this. If you're John Williams, you're never going to worry about whether or not your career took off. That's all I'm saying.
Well, he never won a BET
There's a guy who can. What was that?
He never won a BET award, but he's good. He's good.
Yeah. Okay. But yeah, it's just absolutely crazy what he has done. And so I just thought, I don't know if anybody talked about musics and scores and like this, what was underneath this Star Wars film. But in my opinion, when I was a kid, listening to the soundtrack was amazing for me. Like I said, it's a different time now, so things change as far as like what soundtracks are made up of. But it doesn't mean that we don't have scores anymore. It's not as much of a big deal as it used to be in the 60s and 70s. And I don't know if anybody can, obviously I remember that time. Can you remember that time? Ron probably remembers that time, but like there's a lot of younger people that just will never understand a good score. One of my favorite, one of the Jaws score alone is like, let's talk about that. That was crazy. That the entire world was walking around going da, 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 da. I mean, it was just a weird thing that we all related to, and you can't hear it now. Although they did use it later on, and like for jokes and stuff like that. I think they used it in like Airplane and things like that. But that score is like amazing to think about, and how simple it was. That it was like 4 notes or whatever it was. That the entire world was like affected by that, and that's, I don't know. Music, music brings us all together.
True story.
It brings us all together. So yeah, I'm really glad that I got to grow up in the time of the score, of the the soundtrack score like that. That whole album was just John Williams. You know what I mean? And I watch Jaws every year too, and I'm trying to think if I believe the Jaws album as well is all just score. There's a lot of movies like that are just score from back then, and it's just kind of cool to go back and listen to them, and you can actually picture the theme they came from when you're listening to them, which is pretty cool. One of my favorites is The Omen, but that's Jerry Goldberg, and Jerry Goldberg's another one. He did Poltergeist and a bunch of other stuff. But he did The Omen, and The Omen is like one of those things that you're just not gonna be confused when you hear The Omen. You just won't. It's just has got its own sound, and that's it. So, yeah, I just thought it was. I thought we should discuss, soundtracks, especially somebody like John Williams. Like, it's insane to me how much he has done. It's insane. You know what I mean? It's crazy. So, anyway.
Okay. I say we bring back the movie soundtracks.
I think we should. I mean, they do happen still. They do happen still. They just don't happen like they used to. Not as much, Now it's kind of like hit records. Anywhere they can, let's be honest. It's all about the money. And if they can make more money, because those soundtracks probably didn't make as much money. You had to go to the store. You couldn't. I mean, there were some soundtracks that were like I think of Harold Faltermeyer and like Axel F. Or Vangelis with what am I want to say? Oh God, I can't remember the movie about the guys that were all doing marathon racing. I can't think of the name of it right now. But there were music. There were kind of theme songs like that took off, but they also were like radio hits, and that was like I think kind of unusual. What were you gonna say?
I'm talking about Jason's lyric. You know what I'm saying? I'm talking about Best Man. You know what I'm saying? Talk about
right. And a lot of that stuff though was like technically like that. It could just chart somewhere. It was like not top 40, but it was like a radio tune. You could market that somewhere.
Yeah.
And like I said, it all started with Robert Stigwood and him saying, "Well, I want to take all these albums, all these artists, put them on an album, and I want to put the album on the charts." And the movie house went, "That's the most ridiculous thing we've ever heard in our lives." Sure, you can have all the money you want from that. When he made it like an empire, the dude had like a private jet from that one movie. Because it was so crazy. It caught on way before the movie came out, and it went in a completely different direction, and the movie house did not expect to see that happen. And before that, you would have to go to the store and buy, I want the Star Wars soundtrack, I want the Jaws soundtrack, I want the Close Encounters of I actually had the double album of Close Encounters of the Third Kind with like the spaceship on the front and the liner notes, and that was something you went to the store and you got and you listened to, and it reminded you of the movie. It's just weird because it's not like that anymore. There's so many things from the 70s that just don't happen like they used to in the 60s or whatever. So anyway, I mean, it was a different time, but it was very cool. And John Williams, man, I don't even know what to say. I'm very speechless by this dude and everything he's done. So
let's go.
Thank you for John Williams for being you.
True. Yes. Yes. Yep.
Thank you for being you, and thank you for being there, because man, he put the soundtrack under our lives. Like for boomers and silent generation and Gen X and millennials. Like he created the soundtrack that we all live to. So yeah.
I agree.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So
Casey's Coast to Coast.
I still listen to that. Did I tell you about the story where I went into the market the other day? I don't know, some station around here, either that or like they had maybe they had a Sirius or an XM or something that they was running in the market, and they were listening to American Top 40, and I was like, I'm walking up and down the aisles and I'm hearing like Toto and Rick Springfield and whatever, right? And I'm like, oh, cool, I mean, this is at our age, we're gonna hear our stores and our stuff in a grocery store because we're old, right? And of course, we would like to shop to Gen X music, so that's fine. That's not unheard of. But I started hearing Casey Kasem talking, and this ridiculous conversation happened at the register where I said, "Oh, you got Casey Kasem on today," and the guy behind the counter says, "We couldn't possibly have Casey Kasem on because he's no longer living." And I said, "I'm aware of that." This guy, the guy that was talking to me was probably in his 20s. And I'm like, you want to, so there's this thing that goes on where you become like, you want to reach out and slap the kid.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're like, not only do I know what Casey Kasem sounds like, but I know more about Casey Kasem than you probably even like.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but there's that 20-year-old I know everything attitude, and he said to me, "There's no way that we would be playing Casey Kasem. Why would we be doing that?" I'm like, because all of his shows are, so, at one point, were satellite run, and all of his shows were syndicated.
Yeah.
And people still run his shows today.
Yes.
And so
yes.
whatever channel it is you're listening to is running a Casey Kasem show. And he's trying to tell me that's not possible unless I'm listening to him talk right now. He's, well, I don't know what you're talking about because he's dead. He couldn't be talking right now. I'm like, okay. Never mind.
All right.
I just ring up my stuff and go before I lose my mind. I'm like, of course I know what Casey Kasem sounds like. I could listen to Casey Kasem in my sleep and know what he sounds like. And I know he's been dead for quite some time, and there's a whole story behind that. And I know all about. Like, I grew up to Casey Kasem. Just shut up and ring up my groceries.
Right. Right. Just.
Like, I can't. I can't. So yeah, I don't know. You know how it is. You've been there. And you're just like somebody that's about 30 years younger than you is like trying to tell you about something you grew up to when you were 14. You're just like, you really need to not do that.
I've been there. I got a story
Casey
just like
Kasem.
that.
I said this before, and I'll say it again. There was a point in time where Casey Kasem was on the radio, and the entire world was listening to him.
Yep, true.
So if you went to the beach on a Sunday or a Saturday, people in their cars were playing it. People on the beach were playing it. People in restaurants were playing it. People at gas stations were playing it. And it was like a literally outside, you would hear the exact same radio station coming from every direction. It was just playing everywhere. So you would walk down the street, or you would walk the beach or whatever it was, and you would hear the exact, like everybody would be tuned into the same thing, especially before tape decks, right?
Yep.
Some people used to have just like what we would call transistor. Go look up the transistor radio from the 1900s. Back when we used to churn butter, we used to have that. It would be called a transistor radio, and it wouldn't even be stereo. And we'd be out wherever we were with this little transistor radio with like 2 or 3 AA batteries, and a little antenna. And we would be listening to the local station. And that was what people would do. They would take their transistor radios out to the beach. Or they'd be listening in their car in the parking lot, and so it would just be a running thing where you could hear it from anywhere, and it was very cool. Actually, it's nothing like that now because everybody's got their own whatever. But back then, we used to all tune into the same thing, and the world was a little bit smaller. Anyway. Yeah, and the top 40 countdown was. I don't know why, but it was like a big deal. Nobody missed it. Everybody had to stop and listen to it. It was, it was a thing that you stopped and Casey Kasem's on.
Yeah.
So, and then probably, I don't know if I know that what's his face took over for Casey Kasem. I don't know if that's the same as it used to be. What's his name? That I can see his face and I can't think of him. Seacrest. I know he took over, and I don't know what kind of like numbers or listening audience they have now or anything, but that was the thing, man.
There's three iconic men, okay, who found bands and they gave it to us. First, Casey Kasem. Second, Dick Clark. Okay. Third, Daly. Okay, from MTV.
Oh, Carson
did.
Are you gonna forget about Alan Freed? Don't forget about Alan Freed, man.
Okay, yeah, Alan Freed. But hey, Daly gave us Backstreet Boys. He gave us NSYNC.
Let me tell you what Carson Daly did. Carson Daly stood with a microphone and they handed him stuff to read. That's what happened there. No, that's
wow.
No. No. Carson.
If he didn't like you,
he was good.
If he didn't like you, he wasn't getting on MTV.
No, that's true. No, I agree. He was very gatekeepery at one point, and there was a point in time where the audience used to vote, so that was kind of a cool thing. That was, I call it after my time, because when that was happening, I was not home. That was like a younger generation than me, because by the time MTV was doing TRL, like I was not young enough. MTV started when I was a kid, but I grew out of it, and then by that time, TRL came along, and it was like that late 90s. Right?
Right.
Because anytime you have the Backstreet Boys and all that kind of stuff, that was the '97 and 2000 mark, and that was where that weird, everybody there was all kinds of weird types of music at that time, like new metal. So you had like the Backstreet Boys, but you also had Fred Durst,
Mm-hmm.
and you had
Up for the game.
swing music. So you had, like,
Yes.
you had what's his face from the Cats came back
Mm-hmm.
around there for a little bit. So there was a kind of a lot of, and you had that really techno stuff starting to happen.
Oh yeah.
So
Yep.
everything, there were like 4 or 5 or 6 different types of music at that time, and then you also forget about that. Then we have to talk about the R&B that was going on,
Mm.
because
True.
probably we would have had Jodeci at that time and Mary J. Blige at that time, and all that. So
Mm.
that was also happening,
Mm-hmm.
and we had Aaliyah a couple times on that show.
Uh-huh.
So
Uh-huh.
anyway, so a lot going on in the late '90s, so much that it's crazy. How much that they tried to fuse together. I think because MTV had to be, Anyway, moving on.
Yeah.
Kenny,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
you got a story for us?
Oh, so yeah. So speaking of Jurassic Park star Sam Neill, who's been
Mm-hmm.
battling lymphoma, has spoken
Mm-hmm.
out that he is cancer free and it is
Good.
time for another movie for him. Mm-hmm. The international
Oh
A-lister from
boy.
New Zealand was diagnosed with T-cell lymphoma and immediately started chemotherapy as early as March 2020, and now he is cancer free to do another movie. So congratulations to him and welcome back.
All right. Well, somebody call Sam Neill up.
Yeah,
Get something
right.
going here.
Maybe we can have another Jurassic Park.
That also ties into The Omen. It was a
Yep.
really bad movie that I don't think Sam Neill wants to remember, called The Final Conflict. And that was The Omen, technically the third Omen. But anyway, yeah. Sam Neill had a lot of good stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We need him to be in a new Jurassic Park. I think we're done with Jurassic Park. Do we really have to? Can we put that aside? I mean, that's been done to death. Like, really?
Yeah.
Can
I'm
we
tired of it. Yeah.
not?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't like a lot of sequels. I'm not a crazy sequel fan. I'm just not. I think 1 or 2 is okay, but you got to really do it right.
Mm-hmm.
And I think most sequels are just money grabs, and I don't think they really do them quality. I just always thought that.
Mm-hmm. Maybe he can be the new James Bond.
Maybe. I don't know. Like I said, it makes sense. Jurassic Park would be a good place for him to go, and they could build a story around them. But I just feel like, how many Jurassic Parks can we have? Pianist. That was a crazy movie. Well, I don't remember him in The Pianist, but I haven't seen that in a while. That was Adrian Brody, wasn't it? I feel like that was Adrian Brody. No,
I think so
that was in
too.
that movie. But I don't remember Sam Neill. But maybe he was in it. I just don't remember who he played because it's been a long time. Mm-hmm. But anyway, anything else you got for us, Kenny?
No, that's it.
That's it. Okay. Well, I have some cool recent news that I thought would be interesting. There's let me just say this, and I'm a big Carrie Fisher fan, and this has nothing to do with what I'm going to say now, but I just have to use this quote. Carrie Fisher once said, "If my life wasn't funny, it would just be true, and that is unacceptable." Just love that woman and miss that woman, and I'm not going to go into it because I could go crazy with Carrie Fisher, but I do know that we covered that already, so I didn't do that today. But girl power news: Rachel Entrekin has become the first woman ever to win the Cocodona 250 overall. She's 34 years old. She's an ultra runner. And she reached the finish line in Flagstaff, Arizona after 56 hours. Listen to this. A friend of mine and I were talking today. We're just like such losers reading stories like this. 56 hours, 9 minutes, and 48 seconds on the course, setting a new overall race record in the process. This is a 250-mile race. I just had no idea. I had no idea about this race. But my friend and I are going, man, can you imagine the body cramps that you would have coming off
Mm,
this marathon?
God.
I don't know how it's broken up. Like we'll have to get into looking at the details on it, but I'm just saying this is a crazy
Mhm.
thing to win. And man, she finished ahead of every other runner in the event, including all the men competing in the race. It's considered one of the most demanding ultramarathons in the world. And it takes runners across more than 250 miles of rugged Arizona landscape. Think about this. Not only is
Mm,
it a long ass race, but you're running through Arizona. And Arizona is not
mm,
known for its
mm,
weather and its
mm. It's hot.
comfort at all.
It's hot. It's hot.
Okay. 39,000 feet of climbing and elevations rising above 9,200 feet during this race. Like,
Mm,
this is insanity. She was already one of the race's standout athletes. She previously won the women's category in 2024 and 2025. And last year, she recorded a women's course record time of 63 hours, 50 minutes, 55 seconds while placing fourth overall. So this year, she was already one of the race's standout athletes. I'm sorry. This year, she went even further, becoming the first woman in the event's history to take the overall title. So that's crazy. Rachel Entrekin, Entrekekin. That's a Cocodona
mm.
250 ultra marathon,
Wow.
and that's women in sports, and that's a great story.
Wow. That is a
So I
great
just thought I
story.
would bring that up because I was just like,
That is
what? My jaw was on
great
the ground
story.
today, like reading this story. How?
Great story.
How does any
Thank you.
human being do this?
In Arizona?
So
Oh my God.
good, Rachel. Good for you, man.
Good.
I could
Bro.
never. I could never. I mean, half of us, a lot of
Mhm.
us can't even get into a 25-mile race. We just can't even do
Shoot, I can't even walk up the block.
that. Don't get me wrong. I can go 3, 4, 5 miles a couple times a week, but I can never. I just can't even imagine running 250 miles. I just can't. It's just like it seems like it's not even real. But anyway, uh, and the other cool thing I saw a couple of times in the past few months is a story about that some uh, fire departments are trying to use sound waves instead of water to extinguish flames, which I thought is really cool. There's actually a way to use the sound to put fires out. I thought that was the coolest thing ever. It's not science fiction. It's a new firefighting system being tested out by a fire department in Southern California. But the sound wave is amplified and directed using a collimator or cone to disrupt the combustion chemical reaction. This is just, I don't know. I'm a nerd, so this is just right up my alley. It pushes oxygen away from the flames and it disrupts the fire triangle, which is, I just think that's very cool. Low frequencies are necessary for this. Higher frequencies have little to no effect, but lower, like bassy frequencies, work. It offers a water-free, chemical-free suppression system, which we could use. We don't need to waste water, and we don't need to use chemicals. That's all stuff we don't want.
Yeah.
It's crucial for electrical fires, grease fires, or space-based fires. That's what they normally use for that stuff. So this could like eliminate that, which is awesome. Sonic Fire Tech, this company, this is one of the companies doing this. This company is pioneering practical applications using a home hardening system that uses infrared sensors to detect fires and trigger sound waves. System testing in early 2026, California fire departments, including San Bernardino County, began testing the technology for residential and wildfire protection. Because that makes sense. I mean, out in California, they've got plenty of reasons to come up with to not use water. But they have a lot of brush fires and stuff out there, so it makes total sense that they would use this. While initially conceptualized as a small handheld device, current development focuses on installing these systems into residential, commercial, and even drone-based applications to fight fires at close ranges of up to 25 feet. So, like at some point, if they get this to make sense, they could actually install this in your home, and you could just flip a switch, and the fire will be out. Think about that. Or you could have something set, like a smoke alarm that actually triggers these sound waves and kill the fire. Especially electrical fires, which is that's for houses. That's one of the main reasons that they get fires. And this is so good for that. So I love this. So yeah, coloring technology is best suited for small to moderate fires, as those are found in kitchens at the beginning of a structural fire. And the system requires a consistent power, though, for the acoustic generator and amplifier. So they're trying to come up with ways to get around that. Because of course, if you get into a fire in a house, your electrical does not work, or it won't work. And I don't know how they would set those up with like generators. But I thought that was really cool. Like if you get a chance to look into that, that's just a cool thing that they're doing right now, and they're trying to get up and running. And I'm like, I love scientific stuff like that. People that are trying to get a different way to do stuff that we've always done. And this world, God knows we need to not be wasting water on anything, especially right now. So current news, cool, recent news.
Cool.
And that
cool.
is that.
Is that?
And with all the crap I had to talk about, I think we're still coming in under the wire, which is amazing.
Look at that. Thank you for
3 ads already, Ron. What does that mean?
That's what I'm talking about. He giving us money. All right, Hugo.
Oh, okay.
All right, Hugo, giving us money. Giving us money.
Obviously, tomorrow morning is going to be kicking off Mom's Week. Is it called Mom's Week or Mother's Day Week or Mother's Week? Something like that. So Kenny and Ron are on tomorrow, their usual Sunday thing, and just make sure that you tune in, get up, get your coffee, maybe make you breakfast, sit down, listen to Kenny and Ron talking about mom-related stuff. I can't tell you what they're going to talk about because I don't know. I can't imagine.
I'll tell you right. I'll tell you right now. If Claire Huxtable ain't number one. Oh, you're gonna have like a best mom or the best TV moms or whatever. Is that it? I gotta tell you, I am a Felicia Rashad girl. I absolutely love that woman. I love that woman. Thank you.
I don't know if you've been. Have you been watching? Have you been watching the Gilded Age at all?
No.
Okay. I'm not a crazy historical fan, but the Gilded Age is somewhat parallel to what we're dealing with right now in this day and age. But anyway, the Gilded Age is a show on HBO, and it's about the late 1800s. And the money, the levels of castes in society and everything else. And you should watch it because it's a Rhode Island-based movie. They use a lot of the Rhode Island Newport mansions and that area. They do a lot of filming in those houses. It's very cool. But anyway, Felicia Rashad, they brought her back on because there's a whole black storyline. Because there was elite black upper class in Newport. I don't know if you remember this or you know about it or anything like that. But there was this whole elite upper class of Newport black families that would vacation in Newport and that kind of thing. Anyway, they brought Felicia Rashad in as one of the characters' moms, and she's just so good. She's so good. You gotta see it. You gotta see it. I just love it. But anyway,
this guy talking about growing pains. Growing pains, really?
I know. Anyway, if you want to see Felicia Rashad like as an older woman with like distinguished, she is no joke. She never was she was always amazing. But she's so good in this.
She was.
They got her all dressed up in the period piece, the time, the dresses, and it's so cool to see her as like a rich upper class black woman in Newport. Anyway, yeah. So if you get a chance, check that out. Anyway, just so tomorrow. She was not too preachy. No, she was not. She was a liar.
See? He disrespected.
Yeah.
Disrespectful.
So you're going to see Kenny. He's going to like have a stroke tomorrow on the show.
Yeah.
Ron's just going to push him over the edge, and that's going to be it.
Yeah, he is. He is.
It might be so bad.
Today and now
might be so bad that Kenny doesn't. I don't see Kenny next week. It might be so bad that Kenny doesn't come back on Saturday. I don't know. If you don't see him next Saturday, you can blame Ron for that.
Yeah, there's tears in my eyes right now. Okay, all right.
He's upset. He's upset about this. Don't talk about Felicia Rashad like that. Don't you talk about Felicia Rashad. Yeah. So anyway, let's go. Let's let these people have their day. Oh, so Different Strokes. I gotta
Yes.
stop for a minute. I do have to go. But yesterday was the anniversary of Dana Plato's death. And so I've been watching a lot of Different Strokes
Oh,
episodes.
wow. Wow.
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
yeah, it's been a long
That's great
time
news.
since she passed away, but I think she was 35. And I'm going back through Dana Plato's life, um, because Dana Plato, let me just say, Dana Plato deserved better, and that's all I'm gonna say about that.
Yeah, true story.
Yeah, if
True
you see
story.
some of her earlier roles before Different Strokes, when she was on Family, and
Yeah.
when she was in some commercials and
Yeah.
stuff like that, they did her dirty when she was a kid. They really did. I just have to say that,
Yeah.
because it's their anniversary
Yeah.
of her
That's
death.
great.
I just have to say Dana Plato deserved better. And now we can go.
Yeah.
So tomorrow morning between 10 and 11 or 10 and 12 or however long they go on, because Kenny's going to be mad tomorrow. So you have
Mhm.
to be back. Ron and Ken are on tomorrow morning talking about moms. Happy Mother's
Right.
Day out there, everybody. A day early.
Yes. Happy Mother's Day.
And we'll
Yep.
be back tomorrow. Have a great day. Thanks for being on Going On Daily.